Alrighty, guys. Welcome to another episode of Heart of the City. As always, we are in the barbershop right now in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today, we're doing things a little bit different. Instead of our normal conversation with the other barbers, it's just going to be myself. I'm going to be talking to you about 5 things to be looking into for a quality barber. But first, before we start, Casey, hit that intro for me. Alrighty, guys. 5 things to help you find an equality barber. To start, if you're not 100% in love with, satisfied, or over the moon with your current barber, this is for you. There is so much talent out there. There are an incredible amount of quality barbers that know what they're doing. There's no reason to not be with one of them at this point. In the last 10 years, the barber industry has taken off. There's so much education out there, whether it's international education, online academies, and everybody's taking advantage of it, and they definitely should. There's enough barbers in every single state, every single major city, every single country that know how to cut hair well. We need everybody to improve their game, and you should definitely be sitting with somebody that knows what they're doing. So I'm hoping by the end of all of this, kind of the 5 things that you can look for into a quality barber to just, one, compare what you're already going through right now with your current barber or stylist, but ultimately improve. You deserve to have the highest quality barber in your area with you. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to make you enjoy going to the barbershop and getting your hair cut so much more. It's going to grow out so much better. It's going to style so much easier. You're going to get more education. You're going to know more about your hair if you're sitting with the right person. So ultimately, that's the goal of all of this, is let you know that there is quality out there, and let's go get it. Number 5, kind of start there, go backwards, is how well does your haircut grow out? That is such a simple but pure test to see how quality of haircut, the technical side that you actually have, grow it out. See how it styles after 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We've all been there where 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, it's just getting messy and full and bulky. That's an easy way to tell that you don't have a quality haircut. When you're in school, and all of us went to barber school, hairstylist school, they teach you one way. It's a length haircut. Basically, you're creating a guide. You're following that around the head. And what that does is it brings out the head shape. After, that haircut, you feel good. It's clean. The edges are nice and tight. Feels good. But if you're 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and it's feeling bulky, it's just growing out, and it's just not styling the way that you want it to style, I like to call it's the chia pet effect. When you have a length haircut, all have round shape heads. We're all going to have a round shaped haircut to some degree. If it's that length haircut, it's going to grow out. It's going to be like a chia pet. We all know what that is like. We've all had those haircuts before. Not great. There's so much better out there. You want a barber or stylist that can create a shape around your round shaped head. That's when, if you have a shape haircut, it's going to grow down and out. Yes, obviously your neck is going to grow out. Around your ears are going to grow out. That hair keeps on growing. There's not a dang thing we can do to stop that. But most specifically, your styling hair, that should be able to grow out for 6 weeks, 10 weeks. It should be able to grow out indefinitely if that's the goal that you're trying to achieve. Shape haircuts is absolutely everything. And they're not teaching you that in schools. That's on the technical side. You have to go outside of school to get that, to understand that. And like I said at the beginning, there are so many barbers nowadays that actually understand that shape. Whether it's a little bit more square, whether that's a little more diamond or triangle. There's certain areas, depending on what style of haircut you're going for, that can do more contoured or round. But when you have a whole haircut that is just round as can be and all about length, it's not going to grow out well. It's not going to style well. And it's not going to style well 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later. And at the end of the day, I always like to say is there's 10 things to being a barber, and number 10 is cutting hair. There's 9 more important things that a barber can be doing and should be doing to really have that high quality experience. But that number 10, it is such an important number 10. That's why you're coming in. You're coming in for a good quality haircut. You want that to be able to style really well, style easily day one, be able to look good 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks if that's what you're choosing to do, or grow it out and still be able to style it. Number 1, or I guess number 5, make sure you're getting a quality haircut that can grow out well. Get that shaped haircut. Get the barber that knows how to shape a haircut. Number 4, judge their appearance. Might sound simple or materialistic at first, but judge the appearance of everything. When you walk in, first judge the barbershop. Are you impressed with how clean it is? Are you impressed with how welcoming everybody is when you're coming in? Hopefully your barber that knows you're coming in is able to welcome you, make you feel good, knows that you're coming in. But does the whole shop make you feel good when you're coming on in here? See how the floor's looking. Does it look like it's been a couple haircuts since they've swept the floor? Are they swiping down the couches or the chairs that you're sitting in? These little things, you're really going to know what type of space, what type of barber you're interacting with when you look at their environment. I'm a big believer, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you got messy floor, messy shop, messy station, you got a messy barber right there. Look at those kind of things. Really critique and compare the other barbers around the shop that you're in. And then when you're already sitting in the chair, look at their station. See how organized it is or how unorganized it is. Is everything in a proper place, or things actually have intention with everything that they're doing? Is there a clipper over there, cheers all over the place? That's such a simple way to gauge how organized and how kept everything's going to be. If they can take care of themselves and if they can take care of their station, they got a lot higher probability of being able to take care of you. A big one that you always see is hair. Obviously, we're in a barbershop. There's hair everywhere. There's going to be hair everywhere. There's hair all over our shoes, all over our clothes, all over our hands. It's the life of being a barber. But that doesn't mean you need to be sitting in hair. That doesn't mean you need to be experiencing the past client's hair around you whatsoever. When you're walking up to that chair, you're getting into it, look at it. How clean does that chair actually look? Is there hair on the seat that you're about to sit on? Is there hair on the footrest? Hair on the backrest everywhere? Take your time before you get in, see it. That barber, that stylist should absolutely be taking the time to clean up everything, wiping off the chair, cleaning the chair, you should not be sitting in anybody else's hair around you whatsoever. But it takes time and it takes effort to make sure every single person is getting that type of care, that type of cleanliness every single time. Another thing, look at their tools when you're sitting in there. You're going through a consultation. They haven't even put clippers on you. They haven't done any scissor work on you. Look at their clippers. Do they clean their clippers? Is there still hair all over their clippers right there? Unfortunately, it does happen with some barbers. Shouldn't be happening. That is not okay. It is 100% against our license and with health code, but it does happen. You don't want that barber. You don't want the barber that doesn't take 5 seconds to clean their tools, to clean the chair before you get in there. Another one I see all the time. Think about the drape, the cape that goes up and over you. When they're greeting you and they're welcoming you to their chair, do they take the time to clean that drape off, actually fold it up before they went and got you? Or do they have a big old mess in their hands that still has hair from the last client? They're coming to welcome you and getting you in. They're hurrying to open it and put it on you. Every person should be taking the time to clean their station, clean their tools, judge their appearance. The sanitation and cleanliness depends on it. That's a big deal. And going more into the appearance, judge them. Judge how they take care of themselves. Doesn't mean they need to be wearing a shirt and tie, a suit, be rocking, dress shoes or boots. It's not the type of clothes they're wearing. It's the amount of effort that it goes into looking clean, taking care of yourself. We've all been to a grocery store in the afternoon, and you're seeing that stranger that's got bed head all over the place, Looks like they're wearing their Christmas Eve pajamas that their grandma gave them, all plaited up. You don't want your barber being like that. You want the barber that's taking the time to do their hair, style the hair, make sure that they're staying groomed, knowing for a fact that they took a shower that morning and they're staying nice and clean, that they're actually aware of what their appearance looks like. We all judge people, and not in a bad way, just part of comparing and noticing things that are going on. Judge their appearance. Judge how much effort they actually take care of themselves. Again, how they do one thing is how they do everything. How they take care of themselves is how they're going to take care of you. How they take care of their station, their chair, their environment is another thing of how they're going to take care of you. So do it. Judge their appearance. Make sure you're impressed by all of those levels of it all. Number 3 is probably my favorite one, honestly, is how in-depth of a consultation are they giving you? Consultation's everything. You know, when you're sitting with somebody, especially new, but even if you've taken care of them 20 times, 30 times, or they've taken care of you 20 times, 30 times, that consultation should be in-depth, very in-depth. It's not 2 or 3 questions, get a common length on the side, a little bit off the top, the style that you're going for, and get cutting. It should be way more than 2 or 3 questions. That barber and stylist should be able to tell you every square inch of your hair, of what they're doing, what their intentions are, making sure that you're on that same page with it all before they even start cutting your hair. They need to know these things. You should know these things. It's not just as so simple of, yep, no, number 2 on the side, 1/2 inch off the top, part it off to the side. Okay, one, if you even think you have that simple of a haircut, you're selling yourself short. A quality haircut's going to be way more in depth than just those 2 or 3 simple things. But say that is your haircut. What are you doing around the edges? Are we squaring sideburns? Are we naturally tapering it out? Are we blending it into the beard? Are we doing really sharp, clean tapers around the sideburns? Back of the neck? Are we keeping a little bit of flow? Are we doing a little baby mullet? Are we doing a nice natural taper? Are we doing a really sharp taper? You know, every square inch should have multiple questions to really dial it in. And that's if you know what type of haircut you like. If you know what you're going into and you can give the barber pretty specific things in your mind, there should still be more in-depth conversations. When you're styling the hair, are we parting it every single day? Is it something 50% of the time? Mostly it's blended. Sometimes I'll part it when I gotta dress it up. Okay, those things matter. Are we just tossing it to the side? We trying to do a little curtain bangs? Are we trying to go to the back right with it all? All of those, wherever direction it's going, will determine how much length you really need, the pitch angles that you really need, the shape of a haircut that you really need. It matters based on where you want it to be styling on its own, how you want it to be growing there. And that's on a simple haircut. And that's if you know what you want. But if you don't know what you want, and you're trying to ask questions, or you're like, hey, I want, the barber to get their best representation of what you think, you maybe did some research and you trust that person cutting your hair, you think you do, but you're open to what type of haircut and what they maybe think you should be rocking. They should be able to ask you so many questions. And no, you don't need to go into the consultation knowing how to answer it, what to answer it. If it's an easy, obvious question and you can answer it, great, do it. But if you can't answer that, they should be able to be like, okay, well, let me give you an option A and an option B. See how you kind of feel with that. Okay, you liked option B a little bit more. All right. Do we want to go a little shorter than that? You can keep giving you options. That consultation should not be 2 or 3 questions, 30 seconds, and get cutting. Find a barber that knows how to articulate and ask every square inch around that haircut. So one, you're on the same page as them. You know what you should be expecting. The lingo and the vocabulary will get easier with time, but it's one where when they're showing you the final product, it should be 100% like how we discussed in that consultation. There should be no unknowns, any questions. And as a barber, if you're cutting their hair and you're just, I don't know how Shorty really wants to go with it all, what are you doing? We should have already been able to ask those questions to get it really dialed in. There's so many. It's so gray, just like everything in life. It's not black and white of like, oh, this length, it's a one size fits all, everything's good. It is very much, okay, do we want 3 millimeters on the side? Are we going to 4.5 millimeters, 6 millimeters? Do we want it as short as possible without exposing skin? Do we want a little bit of short flow but off the ears? Do we want to brush everything around on the sides and back? There's so many options. And you in the chair shouldn't know all of those yet at this point. It's okay to not know all of those options. That's not a big deal. But the person taking care of you should be able to go through all those questions, be able to articulate it, be able to make sure you are comfortable with what we're achieving. You should be aware of what's actually going on. There should be no unanswered questions. So that's a big one for me. I think consultation is one of the biggest things that's going to separate the professional from the average. If that's the difference between good and great, consultation is a very, very big one. Another one, and it's going to kind of, number two, we're going to segue still into communication. I think communication is one of the biggest things. Going back to the 10 things to being a barber, 1 through 9, there's so many that can get elevated through communication. You know, the rapport that you're building, the relationship that you're building, the services that you're providing, the quality of attention and care that you're actually giving. 1 through 9, the tool and the window of all of that is communication. That's how it's all going to get achieved. Consultation's going to improve through better communication. But number 2, what are you guys discussing? Is that conversation about, for that service, is it about you in the chair, or is it about the person standing behind it? Way too often you'll see barbers that can chatter, that can talk, that do have a personality. When you listen to them, they're only talking about themselves. They're sharing their life, their stories. Find a barber that is connecting with you in the chair, wants to actually bring your life out, talk about those things, explain kind of what's going on in your world. And everybody's different. Some people in the chair love talking about their family. Some people love talking about their work. Some people love talking about what they're doing outside of work. That's okay. The barber and the professional should be able to ask enough questions and correct questions by reading body language, feeling your body language to see, you know, what type of person are you? You know, how intimate of a person do you go? How much do you actually share? You know, that's all up to you in the chair. But when you have rapport and respect with the person standing behind the chair, it makes you feel like you're the king in the chair. You're the center of attention. You got to remember, they're there for you. Their career, their life doesn't exist unless you're sitting in their chair. You should be treated like a king. The conversations should be just as equally about you than anything. This is all about you. But more often than not, it's about the person behind the chair. Not what it's about. You should be able to discuss life events, what's going on. You know, one of the number one things that they talk about, whether it's school, life, everything, is don't talk about religion, politics, psychology, and sex. Well, whether you like it or not, those are kind of the foremost motivating factors that we all think about, we all care about, we all got opinions about. That is some of the deepest things in this world. Of course, you and the person in the chair need respect and rapport with each other to be able to talk more in depth and to get more of those layers of the onion back to really talk about those deep things. You know, we've all talked to somebody about those 4 deep things when clearly they're not as open-minded as they think, and you're not able to have a real discussion about it, especially if you have, you know, different opinions. Different opinions are okay. You know, that's how you grow. That's how you actually understand what somebody with a different opinion, how did they get there? What life experiences got them to think that thing over you? But the only way you're going to be able to have those healthy conversations is if you trust them, if you got rapport and a good relationship with them. And that takes a lot of effort. And that takes a lot of effort by the professional. Remember, they're there for you. They should be putting in every effort to make sure you're comfortable, taken care of, trusted. But it's one of those things where you should be talking about those things with your barber. You should be talking those things with your stylist, besides an intimate partner, besides family or a best friend, a lot of people, especially a lot of grown-ass men, have a healthier relationship with their barber than the next step. Whether obviously it's acquaintances, employees, coworkers, people out in the real world. You have such a great opportunity to actually connect and influence people's lives by being a barber in this professional. And vice versa, with you sitting in the chair, you can connect with them. You can help improve them as an individual as well. Those are the things you should be talking about. But those conversations are about you. It's about your life. It's about how can we grow and connect together. It's not about the person in the chair. We've all had those conversations with a family member, a friend, when you're talking, and they're not listening to you. They're just deer in the headlights. You're just going on and on and on. They're nodding. They're saying okay. They're not asking you a question or trying to understand more or telling if they're actually trying to listen to you. We've all had that. Look at your dog. When you are talking to your dog, if they want to go on a walk or if they want to get in the car, they want a treat, their head starts moving. They really start thinking about you. They're paying attention. They are trying to get to know what you're trying to say, where you're going with this. When you're having those conversations with people where it's just in one ear, out the other, they're waiting for you to stop talking just so they can start talking again about themselves. You don't need that. Get somebody that actually makes the conversation about you, where you can grow, you can improve. You should be talking about life improvements. What are you doing outside of here? It should be personal growth. It should be family growth, business growth. And those are the things that you can easily have a good relationship with your barber and connect on. And it's like having a best friend. When you get that person that we're connecting on, oh man, did you cold plunge today, or are you what are you guys taking supplement wise, or how's business going, or what are you kind of growing, how's physical working out? When you have somebody that you can connect on every couple weeks, once a month, every single week, it's enjoyable. When you have that healthy conversation where it's about you and your life, you get to connect with them. You get excited about going into the barber every single week. You should always be happy that it's barbershop day. That should be a good feeling. If you don't have that feeling right now, if it's a drag or a chore or it's just a to-do list to get your hair cut, you're sitting with the wrong person. And to my earliest point, there's so many quality barbers out there. It's improved so much. Make sure you find somebody that is on that more upper level, that knows what they're doing, can actually connect on you, because that's out there right now. Make sure you're going to get it. Okay, lastly, number one of things you should be looking into for a quality barber, how do they make you feel? Such a simple one, but it's probably the most important thing that you can really do. Words are great. Feelings are so much stronger. There's so many times when you have a thought or an idea or a feeling, you can't articulate it well enough into words. That tells a lot of all of the things I already talked about. If all of those things I already talked about are executed on, that feeling of leaving or when you're coming on in, that should be a really great feeling. One thing that we always discuss here in the barbershop is your client is going to feel something, whether you do nothing. You can, as a barber, as a professional, you could not say a word, you don't talk, you don't put any extra effort into it. They're going to feel something. You should have a professional that is doing everything they can to make that feeling great. How can they improve? How can they grow in all of that? When you have somebody that's putting in 100% effort to make sure you're taken care of and you feel great, all of the boxes get met. Any questions that you have get heard. Any understandings of the technical side, the service side, questions about your styling, product-wise, education of how to manage all of this situation, whether it's, scalp care with shampoo and conditioning, getting on a right regimen, make sure you got right quality, make sure you're using high-quality products, whether it's facials, understanding, how to actually take care of a face. Guys are simple. A lot of guys don't wash their face every single day, but to understand, the benefits of balancing out the pH levels. Make sure you have a quality face wash. You're moisturizing, oils. There's stuff like that that you should be going home with, that knowledge and education should be there. If everything's getting hit, that feeling is going to be high quality. You should leave every single haircut feeling on cloud nine. You're the top of the world. You're feeling handsome. You're feeling confident. You just had some good R&R with your barber, with your friend. You're able to connect on some really important things. You're able to grow with that individual. That's a good feeling. When you have real human connection to a high level that you look forward to and they look forward to seeing you as well, that's going to be a good feeling. You should not be leaving the barbershop feeling negative or having a negative feeling of going into a barbershop. That's such a big thing that I always hear is, either, man, I don't like getting a haircut. It's a chore. I don't know, how it's going to end up. They don't know how quality it's going to be. Okay, even if it does feel good after a week or two, it's, how well is it going to grow out? All of these things should be getting met. You should be over the moon with your barber. And you should be feeling great. Number one, to end it, you have to and you should be feeling great when you're going into the barbershop, when you're in the barbershop, and especially once you're leaving the barbershop. So make sure that you're feeling great on all of that. Clients, consumers, there's quality out there. Make sure you are sitting in a quality barber and a quality stylist in your area. There's a lot of people that know what they're doing. There's more people knowing what they do today than ever before. The education is through the moon. There's so much international education. There's so many online academies, so many YouTube videos. There's so many conventions going on. There's so many barbershops. We live in a state where there's more churches than schools. We're getting to a point where there's almost more barbershop than churches. There's so much out there. So there's a lot of weeds. It's a very saturated industry. There's a lot of options. But there are quality ones out there. And in the next episode, I am going to try to help you go through those weeds, navigate through that to find those quality barbers in your area. But first and foremost, make sure you're sitting with somebody that's a quality barber. There's so much talent there. And all of these things that I talked about, from how does it grow out to judge the appearance, how clean are they taking care of everything, how much effort are they putting into their environment, to themselves, big deal. How well is that consultation? How many questions? How in depth are those questions? Are you actually aware of what's going on before you're getting the haircut going? And especially if you are unaware, are you having options presented to you? Are you having a good education? You should feel like you're with a specialist that really knows what they're talking about. What are those conversations about? Are you having really in-depth conversations? Are those conversations about you, the main person in all of this, the person that's sitting in the chair? You should be treated like a king. Make sure somebody is communicating like you're the most important person in the world right now, because you are. And lastly, how do you feel? How do they make you feel? How does the barbershop make you feel? How does the individual barber make you feel? These are important things. Let's step our game up. Every barber should be stepping their game up. There's no excuses anymore. There's so much information out there. They should be putting in the effort. They should be taking care of everybody to a high level. And you, the client, make sure you're sitting with somebody that knows what they're doing. Like I said, there's so much quality out there. You deserve a quality barber. And these are some very important things that you should be comparing and critiquing and judging, and making sure that you're sitting with the best person in your area. Alrighty. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of Heart of the City. We're shaking some things up a little bit, doing some things a little bit different there. Stay tuned for a future episode. I'm going to navigate you through the weeds to how to find that quality barber in your area. But as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again.